Or I can talk about it in my report, which I can choose.
Oh, you just do when you report.
Okay. And then develop, goal number 3, provide representation for the Lake County ESD to the Early Learning Hub. Develop an understanding of the Early Learning Hub and provide support for the educational needs of Lake County. I am not all that familiar with Early Learning Hub, so it's going to be, it's probably my steepest learning curve right now, is just getting to know all the ins and outs of that.
And you voted him vice chair.
I saw that.
And, yeah, except the vice chair, I was,
Answer the
He was
phone.
so-
I was voluntold to be the vice chair.
Good PR move though.
Yes, so I'm already the vice chair of the Early Learning Hub and have no clue what I'm doing. So it's going well. And then of course attend the meetings and see what I can do to make that support happen. So.
Any questions, comments, additions?
Comment?
Yep.
I think the most important is the second one on the action steps, collaboratively develop the 2018-19 local service plan with the superintendents. You know, it just makes adoption of that service plan and the budget so much easier if the superintendents and local representatives have already seen it, have already agreed to it.
Right.
And, you know, I'm certainly not gonna question something that you and all the superintendents, et cetera, can live with.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much smoother, the whole process.
Right. I agree with that.
And I think in the meantime, while you do that, you're able to build the trust and relationship between, you know, because that's always an issue for a superintendent, especially up north, because they kind of go, well, you're in Lakeview, you know, and Bob was able to do that very well. So that,
It's been a while, but it wasn't always that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's really cool.
So far, David and I have been getting along really well, and he seems like a great guy. I really enjoyed talking with him and working with him so far. So, but definitely will continue to do that. I think part of that is just showing an acknowledgement of them that they exist, because they are so far. You know, and he doesn't come down a whole lot down here. I need probably just to make sure that I'm getting up there. Bob said he went. Usually he's at about 3 times a year. I might try to go a little bit more than that, just to let them
Especially your
realize.
first year.
Yeah, this is my first year, so they know.
It's popular in every place.
Yeah.
And then tell Bob, really, that our board up there didn't even have a clue what the ESD did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
We got somebody showed up once a year and basically, yeah, this is our service plan, and gave us a pitch. What's ESD do? So it does make a difference when you're visiting.
Right, right. So,
Okay. Anything else on that? Are we good there?
I haven't been to a Lakeview School Board meeting for 2 months. But until that time, they were always on Monday night, so
right,
I don't know unless they changed.
they did. They changed their schedule this year. Yeah.
Well, I'm at the only.
Guess they didn't want you to show up,
I'm
huh?
not on it anymore.
Oh, you're not?
No,
No.
Yeah.
We're both quitters.
So, yeah.
And I was thinking, somewhere in my mind, I was thinking the teacher mentoring program had issues with money or
It-
to do it or something.
It did. The teacher mentor program through the state is being renewed this year. This gets into part of my report, but that's okay, we'll make it shorter that way.
If you're gonna.
No, it's a good time. Basically, they are wanting the ESDs to head up and to apply for the grants. So there'll be an ESD that will be the lead ESD, and then they will then filter down to other ESDs. So there'll be like a little tree. And so we personally are not applying for that grant, but we are part of one of the lead groups as that goes through. I don't know if we've applied. I've got a copy of the grant or the application and stuff for you guys to look at if you feel like it. And we'll see where that goes. So a lot of ropes, a lot of strings attached to it and stuff, and I think it was a nightmare for paperwork, wasn't it? Is what I understand.
Yeah, I think Marcia did most of the paperwork.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did have to do a lot of reporting and
right,
logs, teacher logs. that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
And so right now, we've
That's
got
good.
Amy Fortune, she's doing it, and we're paying her to do it, and have all the state reports and all that kind of stuff, and it seems to be going great. Everybody that I've talked to is very happy with her and what she's been doing.
Great, 'cause I think that's kind of important.
Would we,
Yeah, it was at the district.
Yeah.
would we be a standalone in this program, or would we be under the wing of, say, High Desert ESC?
We would be under their,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
just
it would be
curious.
just one of their, it's, that,
They could provide some good resources, I'm sure.
we've got it in here, it's in here. There it is. We would be, is it on there? Where's that page posted, that had the, remember the list of who's under who? Okay, here it is. We would be under Region E, which is the lead ESD is the High Desert.
Yeah.
And so our partners will be Jefferson, Lake, Harney, and Malheur are gonna be the other ones underneath that lead. That's if it gets approved, so.
So they're gonna be the ones applying. High Desert.
They will.
They will.
They will, yeah.
It's an interesting grant because what they're looking at, and it's, I'm so glad we personally didn't have to apply for it, because the state does
It's
not
huge.
really understand what it is they're doing right now. They're kind of building the car as they're rolling down the road. So it's starting out with, they're wanting like somebody to mentor like 5 different schools. And then as it progresses in the next year or two, to be up to mentoring like 20 different schools. But they're not quite sure how that's gonna work and how that funding's gonna be there or those kinds of things. So it's really ambiguous.
Was it broken the first time we did it?
I don't know.
Just financing, wasn't it? Or just some money issue?
Yeah.
The grant ran out, and
It's-
then
yeah.
we didn't, then we
Right.
weren't awarded this last time,
Yeah.
15, 17.
It's been around for a couple of years. It would be
Right.
interesting to see the results
Yeah,
as to how it was before the program, not just here,
yeah.
but statewide.
The funding, they're supplying enough funds to hire a half-time mentor.
Oh,
But they're supposed to mentor these 5 schools. So I think all of the lead ESDs, in their minds, they have somebody that they can combine that position with another position to give them a full-time position. Because when I looked at it, I'm like, who am I gonna hire for half-time? Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it progresses.
So they will mentor all 5 districts in this.
Correct. Right, yeah, so it may be a year or 2 before we would ever even
See anybody.
from that specific grant. Yeah,
Keep it on.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? No. We're gonna move on to board policies, first reading.
The first one is a new policy, GCI and GDI. It basically just says that the superintendent's gonna assign where a licensed staff member or a classified staff member, what their job is. That's what it is.
but you already do that.
Mhm.
What is, I can't,
Yeah, it's,
what is the purpose of this? Because,
just so that it's in writing that that's my job and not
okay.
the board's job, I guess.
So OSBA has something to do?
With transfers, well, assignments, it's assigning duties. and
Right.
That could be a problem.
Yeah.
And I think it has been a problem.
It's in contract, I mean,
Well, that's what I
the
thought.
superintendent's contract, they're in charge of, of personnel.
And in the
So-
employee's contract that they've signed, that you retain the right to do that.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay,
Yeah,
so,
honestly, my recommendation would be to, to not adopt it, and I don't think it's a required, is it?
No,
So it's a.
this one is optional.
It's an optional.
And would that give us a little more leeway in case, God forbid, something happened, will we as a board have to do something?
It would,
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's probably,
And it would also give a little more leeway is if there was a situation where there was let's say a pretty deep political thing going on where we're having to move somebody or do something that could be done as a board action rather than the superintendent dictating, just, to make it say, no, this was not anyone being a jerk, we made this decision.
I know that we've had shortages and sudden vacancies in, say, speech therapy. And I think the assignments were somewhat negotiated. They sat down and said, we have a need here, and could you, would you? I don't know that it ever came down to too damn bad, you gotta go to North Lake or whatever. I don't know that it came to that. But sometimes it may be necessary to do that.
Yeah, there are times when you have to place a staff member. You're
Yeah.
licensed for it, so you place them where you need them.
And that's already in your contract for you got the ability to do that, and so this is like extra paper.
so at
I
this,
would say, Debbie, do you have any desire for it or anything, reason for it?
I can't think of it.
I like the idea of, if you did things, especially with the new superintendent, if you were put in that position, you would come to the board and say, hey, guys, instead of being the jerk or whatever, and they making somebody mad, what do you guys think?
Right, right.
So
And it would be,
if you've been here 20 years, it might be different, but right off the bat, if you had to make a decision like that, I would think the board would want to be
Yeah.
involved.
yeah.
If it was gonna be controversial.
Exactly.
We're so small that you don't have a lot of flexibility with personnel.
I think this is more for a larger
Big school.
district, personally, for a school, larger school district.
so at this point, we will make this one go away?
You don't even have to vote on anything, just.
No, I'm just not gonna.
Yes, we do, just need it. So this one here is already current policy, and there is just the changes in yellow there. And basically all this says is if you're gonna be an educational assistant with a Title I program, Title I, the federal program requires that you have either 2 years of college, an associate's degree, which is, again, is 2 years of college, or you have passed the, what's the name of the test? Paraprofessional test, which if you pass that, then you're qualified to work with students.
Do we have any Title I? We don't.
We don't, but our staff may work with
They
Title
work with
I
Title I
kids, yes.
And so that would apply to them also then?
Correct. They cannot work with them unless they are at the Title I level.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. And it looks like all they're doing is putting Title I-A. I think it was Title I before, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Well,
Removing the trouble.
yeah, you took out highlight qualifying.
Right.
That's.
with the number 3 on there, on educational assistance, blah, blah, and work in Title I-A, met a rigorous standard of quality.
Right, that's,
What's the standard?
that's the third, that's the paraprofessional test. And there's an actual test that
There
is,
is?
yes.
There it is.
Did not know
Yeah,
that.
there's an actual test, it's called, I think it's titled the paraprofessional test, but that's what I've always called it. But there's an actual test that they have to go and take, and it's a math, reading, and writing, and
Okay.
test. And then if they are able to pass that, then we say, yes, you've got your basic skills well enough that you can work with these children.
Good to know.
Moral and ethical character is required by teachers by statute. What, is there,
Oh, yeah, there's a whole, it's a 2-page document on all the ethical things that we can and cannot do
you
and
do some reading?
all that kind of stuff. It's pretty, I had to look a couple of them up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. It's pretty in-depth, but
It's in the OARs.
it's in the OERs. Yeah,
So,
if you go to TSPC website,
that would have it.
and it's over on the left-hand side, and it says teacher standards or ethics or something of that nature. So,
This is optional. Do we want to adopt it or take a look at it again next time?
Adopt it.
This one I would recommend. We
All right. This is first reading, so we're not doing anything, just we'll look at it again.
And you kinda have to do it.
They have to be,
You don't have to.
they have to be this, yes.
And the next three are required.
Yep.
Yep.
So I
Okay,
don't know,
and-
do we want to review this? It's required, so.
It's required, again, we've already adopted it, it was in 2007. They changed ESDs, they changed TSBC, and they just added in, got rid of highly qualified and just put in who are appropriately licensed by TSBC.
What do we have to do, or that hard to figure out?
Any questions, comments on any of this? So I'll bring those back for a second reading, and we will move on. I guess we're going to be out of the work session now.
Don't we have a special letter to, no?
Yeah, with,
With the special education public availability of state
Yeah.
application,
Oh, wait a minute.
that's it.
That's it.
No,
yeah.
no,
Yeah, we were missing one.
Oh,
this
There
right
you
here.
go.
By then
Okay.
we'll-
I think I got them all.
okay.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, we have.
You just, you're stuck together.
Well, Dale does too, but being the new
Yeah.
board chair, he's a
Yeah.
little flustered, and he didn't spit on his finger
Well, he's
before he
trying-
separated the paper.
He's trying to show his incompetence, so you'll
I'm
repeat
good, yeah, that's right. Well, I'm just saying
Working
it's.
for Trump, it's not
Yeah.
gonna work for you.
Oh,
Man, this went down the wrong road real fast.
I didn't go there. That's required also, right?
Correct. Yeah. Answer any questions on that one?
Looks like just language changes.
Yeah, that one just language changes.
See, I was actually being proactive because we can't do anything about it anyway.
Yeah, and
I'm looking at the clock thinking you're 10 minutes early, we can screw around.
the last one, the bilingual education, is just basically stating the obvious.
Yeah, I didn't change.
Yeah.
It was just the legal reference was updated.
Yeah, it's legally
Oh,
required.
Yeah, so I was,
Yeah.
Got it.
Not the same.
It's rid of, they just got rid of the no child left behind after.
all right, we're gonna go into a regular meeting, correspondence.
Okay,
You have a letter of resignation there. Yeah, from everyone else.
Have we had
Smiling
anybody
and
to,
with her on her face too, but she did it. She's excited to go.
did you do pretty well already?
I gotta go someplace. Okay, Kathy Miles. Okay.
Did she come last month to New Galver, or the month before she came
Yeah.
to Kathy's place? Yeah.
Yeah, June,
She
she
came.
stopped
Yeah,
by.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. With regret.
Yeah.
All right, we will go into consent items. Approve the agenda. Any additions, deletions?
Motion, make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Approve the minutes of the 6:21 and 7:05 organizational meetings.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for 6:21 and 7:05.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Those in favor? Okay.
I would like to mention just kudos to Debbie. I mean, I've been to worked in a number of schools. She does a fantastic job with the minutes and stuff. I went through it and, I mean, she's spot on, so just kudos to her. She doesn't, you know, as a comparison of a whole bunch of other districts.
We just
she does-
respect it now.
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, I do too now. I can see what she's capable of. I'm like 4. Yeah, so just really, it's just really appreciated not to know that it's the quality's there, so.
Thank you.
Okay, approve budget committee appointments.
I
move we approve budget committee appointments.
Who are the appointments? Did I miss that?
Will King Hill, Troy Price,
Oh,
Kevin Gardner.
okay. See, I should be a peach, I'm telling you.
You're trying to not.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Who was the second? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Who seconded? You made the motion.
I made the motion.
I'll second.
Well, I wanna do it.
You two, outside.
And we appointed Stan Jones to a lifetime position too. so-
Oh, okay.
I'll second that.
Yeah. He was even, I think he was there for that
He was
meeting, too.
there, he
Yeah.
just sat there with his mouth open and let us do it.
Yeah. Yeah, till death do his part, I think, was the last thing he said.
Board reports. Anybody, Clayton?
It sounds like the track should be done, but I haven't got to see it.
Okay.
Our world got the new roof on, so we'll stop leaking hopefully.
Good.
That all went
I
well.
don't have a board from which to.
Well, report just, I mean, how was the eclipse? Did you like the eclipse?
I'm going to find a place to watch the totality next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was
it's way
warned
different.
and they were right.
Where
It
were
was
you-
highly
where were you at?
overhyped.
Oh, here.
You were here, okay, so you just saw the dusk, you didn't see
Right.
the.
And
Yes.
and then I hear you're going to Birmingham, right? Well, the bus, you got the bus and.
Well, didn't you hit the rainbow, then the eclipse, and now Burning Man? You've got a busy season.
triple header,
Yeah, I'm retired, no kids, I'm hitting the
Yeah.
circuit. I wouldn't know the first thing to
Pretty
do.
quiet.
That's funny. Head Start is gonna have their open house on Friday, September 15th, 12 to 2. So anybody that wants to go by and see the building, yeah,
December 15th,
15th, Friday.
Is that the
yeah.
new building?
Yes,
9 to 2,
no, 12 to 2.
from 12 to 2. So you're providing lunch then, you have burgers?
I think they're
Oh.
cookies and juice is what
Oh.
they're doing.
This is Head Start. You get
I
a fruit
know.
roll-up, I think. if
We're
you're
gonna
really-
have a donation cup at the front door. Come on, these are little kids.
Well, congratulations, that's exciting.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to see the building, you should go take a look at
It's
it.
been a long time in coming. It
It's
seems like.
Yes.
amazing.
Seems
Yeah.
like you started, it wasn't 2 years ago, but it seems like it.
Or
Was it?
because the state ran out of money 2 years
But I
ago,
mean,
so we're
didn't they
back
break
down.
ground 2 years
And-
ago?
Yeah,
It just seems
So-
like it's,
just dragging.
I bet that's, neat to have it going.
Mhm.
You have a fantastic
Congratulations.
kitchen in there.
Yeah,
Fantastic kitchen.
And they're not cooking.
And there, yeah.
oh yeah, they could.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, for
the
that?
Open house, yeah.
Hey, I'm retired next Thursday, I'm not part of them, so I can't tell them what to cook.
You're retired next Thursday?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
I got the building done, that was my goal,
Well,
and
good for you.
I'm
Congratulations.
gonna, go on and play with kids now. Just
Party
don't
at
have
your
to worry
house
about
then,
it.
right?
There you go.
Well,
Yes,
Uh,
probably be busier.
Paisley board report is our seismic
Is that what they're
stuff.
doing?
Yeah. Of course, it's not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna delay school for a couple days because we're gonna have to farm people out. So we're gonna start basically a week later and hopefully everything will be done. Other than that, staffing positions, we had a hard time finding a math teacher. That's been a tough thing for us this year. But Paul seems to be doing well on his way, so we shall see.
I like Paul. Seems like a very
He's
nice
a good guy.
So how bad are they tearing into your structure, your building? Because it
Pretty
looks
bad.
like a
They went-
lot of lumber there.
Yeah, they went in and basically took everything outside, and what they're doing, they're kind of boxing it up into a box to just strengthen it that way, so they, from the basement all the way up. It was a lot,
Does
built a
that mean they
lot,
have to redo sheet rock and the whole?
yeah, some of it, some area, but it was built a lot better than we thought. It was pretty cool. Look at the wood and stuff, built 1917, so it's just really beautiful lumber
Yeah.
and stuff,
good
so,
lumber mill.
yeah.
They didn't have knots in it in those days.
No, there was,
Oh, you're right. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
It's
clear,
amazing.
clear beams, yeah.
But it didn't affect your facelift you gave it a couple
no.
years ago? It
No,
didn't
I
screw any
think
of that
we
up?
will probably lose a couple windows,
Mhm.
not in the front, just for structural purposes, but, yeah, so far so good.
Oh, good. Because you guys put a lot of time and money into that facelift, so
Yeah, so,
it's kind of,
yeah, we would, yeah, we kind of did it backwards, but the seismic grant came later, so.
yeah, what are you gonna do?
Okay, so next financial report, that must be,
That was me.
That must be Sarah. Well, Sarah, I don't have any questions for you.
That is not true, you can find something.
So with the new system, there's gonna be a little bit of a new look to some of your stuff. I think it should have all of the same information that you're used to though.
Sorry, I forgot to turn it off.
So the brown page is your check register, and it still has the description, the amounts, the vendors, all that stuff, the check numbers. And then this buff page is still the summary of all of the general fund expenditures. The thing about the summary is that it includes this column called encumbrance.
Yeah.
And so it looks like we're 90% through a lot of these budget line items, but that's because it's encumbering salaries for our employees. Contracted stuff, like I put in, anytime I put in a purchase order for like our phone bills, it acts like we've already charged the whole year worth of phone bills to the budget. And there's not a way, I can get it to not show that column, but the percentage still takes it as if that's
So
in
you love
there.
your new accounting software?
So, yes.
So this percentage use is fairly pointless then, really, when it comes to real money.
As far as today's money perhaps, but we know that we're gonna spend those salaries, everybody's on
Yeah.
salary, we know that we're gonna, so it gives us a lot more advance warning if we're gonna go over budget.
Got it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it is helpful in that
It
regard.
should be nice to know though where we are now.
Yeah, see, and there's not a percentage for that. The year-to-date column is accurate. The year-to-date does not have the encumbrances in there, but there's not a percentage that goes with that.
What's range to date mean?
That is for the month of July. So at the top right, where it says from date to date,
Oh, I see. Okay.
so as we move through the year, that'll be for just the
I see.
month that we're in.
I did do exactly what you said. I automatically went to the bottom right-hand corner and, they've already gone through 38%.
Yeah.
I had to kind of backtrack a bit.
It is different, it is very
Yeah.
different,
Right.
so. But anyway, those are the financial reports.
Got a question on this.
Yes.
We wrote a check to Board of Regents.
Yeah, that's kind of a funky vendor. What that was, we sent Christy Reese to a case training for their ag program. We used our STEM grant for that. And we had to make the check out to Board of Regents for her registration.
Regents of what?
I don't know. Basically, she went to Reno and instead of.
Oh,
Okay, what happened?
John,
Let me rephrase.
Now it's all explained.
I should rephrase that.
yeah, there you go.
That's why we make it directly to the vendor, not to Christie.
Okay.
No, that was her program.
I'm down there this weekend.
And then the other little bit is our letter from the auditor. They came here in July, late July.
Yeah.
Went through the audit and went fairly smoothly. At this time, they don't have any suggestions for us. That could change by December, we'll see, but right now, we're good. So, there we go.
I thought this letter was very interesting. They basically deny responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It is, if you read the letter, it is kind of complicated.
We have to sign like this 5-page document where they say, you've told us everything, you've disclosed everything, and everything is your fault, and, you are responsible for everything.
That was one of the first things I signed when I got here, and I was like, I didn't do any of this, this is Bob. Send it to Bob.
The sad part is, why did they have to make a letter like that?
Yeah, exactly, right?
There's history there, somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
You spent $9.98 on a mechanical pencil? Really?
I knew you would find something.
I'm sure it was at least a 2-pack or something.
Any other questions for Sarah? Anything for us,
No,
Sarah?
after the Reno thing, there's.
No more questions. Well, guess what? You're up.
I'm up, all right. So Debbie is getting close enough to be able to kick me if I go too long, so. So if you look in your packet, you can see this page. You probably can't read it, but it is all of the legislative impacts on what the legislature did when it came to grants and things. Nutritional programs, all the different things, special ed programs and things. How much they increased them, how much they decreased them, some of them they got rid of. And so it's an interesting read. Put your, your magnifying glass on and see if you can do it. But it's just kind of interesting things that, 3 years ago that were just so important that we were gonna do this, and all of a sudden you look over here and it's a negative 100%. All right, well, that one's going, so.
Would you mind just giving me so GF would be
Yeah.
general fund, OF, so it's the second line down, under the,
Right.
okay, so general fund, OF stands for
There was a,
FF, TF. Oh, is there a,
okay, so the TF is total funds,
okay,
general fund,
optional fund, final fund, Friday fund.
Friday fund. I'm sorry, I thought I had those written down, but then I don't, so I'm not sure.
Is that good? And then LAB and CSL were,
Um,
LAB.
I don't have the second page that was with this.
LAB, legislative
It was the-
adopted budget.
And then the CSL was,
Current service.
current service level, thank you, yes.
Oh, okay.
Good job.
You cheated, didn't you?
I'm actually reading the top line where it says CSL. Very top.
It's current service
Oh,
level.
gee, yeah.
I just
I was
really,
impressed.
I actually looked really smart for a
Oh,
short period of
yeah,
time.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
good, you're good.
oh.
That's how I figured it out too.
You should have told us.
The problem is that my eyeballs start zooming out, so I'm
So
hoping
what
I'm right.
was CSL,
Okay.
current service
Service
level?
Level.
Yeah, STEM sure took a hit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, and that was, boy, 3 years ago, STEM was all the rage and everything else, and it took a huge hit.
Well, so did nutrition.
Yeah.
That's sad, because we served an average of 120 kids a day in the summer food program. This is the
Really? Did
last
you
week
really?
of it, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And
yeah.
then,
120 a day?
is that one of them they
120,
cut?
we did about 60 to 70 in the park. There was 2 vacation Bible schools going on, so they came and picked up their lunches. We did West Side and New Pine Creek. And so, yeah, about 120 average.
And they cut it.
Yeah, and so
A lot
now
of
I'm
funding, it
looking
looks
at the
like.
food going, that's,
Gonna close the achievement gap with a bunch of hungry kids.
Yeah, so feel free at your leisure just to kind of look down, some of those grants you'll recognize and things, and it's interesting how much they cut there.
Okay, that's cool.
And then again, in your packet, you'll see there's a legislative summary, this has got just a bunch of all the bills that really kind of affect schools, and what the legislature did. I just highlighted a few of them, you'll see some asterisks next to some of them. Senate Bill 754B, tobacco is gonna be 21.
That is gonna happen, isn't it?
Yep, it'll be 21. That's as of January 1. So you'll need to know that one. It's in House Bill 3029, increases the compulsory age of kids from 6 years to 7 years. So you're not gonna be out of compliance with the state if you decide not to send your 6-year-old to kindergarten. You decide you wanna hold them back a year and not send them, you're not out of compliance.
So we're sending a message, we have to have full-time kindergarten, but then we're saying you don't have to do it until you're 7.
Right.
Until your kids are written, yeah.
They're basically giving parents a little more leeway and saying, you know what, my kid's not ready, but you're forcing me to send my kid.
It's like,
Bringing that up, does the teaching staff have can they say that child's not ready? We should do preschool
I
again?
think you would move to
Yeah.
an IEP situation.
Do they?
I think
But
that.
that's what they did
would
with my youngest. They just said, no.
I don't-
I'm not ready for
I
first
don't
grade,
think
you can do
so.
kindergarten
Yeah,
yet.
no,
And he did, that was the best thing that ever happened to
if
him.
he was 6 years old after September 1,
Then they have to.
then Yeah, this would say now, no, we wouldn't have to. Or
But
the
I mean,
parent could make that
The
choice.
parent could, but not the
Yeah.
school itself.
Now the school has to accept it.
Then it went down to 6 and now it's back up to 7. Because I remember, yeah.
But when kindergarten became mandatory full-time, then they dropped it to 6.
See, I know there was a student in kindergarten, he wasn't ready, and the parents continued to send him. And then he just repeated kindergarten all over again, and then he was perfect, he should have been,
Right, and that's not uncommon.
yeah, but it was, but he had to meet the requirements, you know, at
Right.
the age requirements,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Jack, if a student, let's say, is 7 years old in August, has not been to school, and the parents decide to place him in school, then is the child going to be automatically placed in first grade, or can the district make the determination to place him in kindergarten?
They could place him in kindergarten. I don't know if that would be a district's decision. If the parent said, no, my child's 7, I did kindergarten at home, that's your right, you know, no, my kid's 7, they're going into first grade. You know, they could do some preliminary testing, and they could look at them and say, you know, and see where they're at academically, and say, you know, and try to convince the parents, look, you know, you've done nothing with your kid but sit them in front of the television set, and you know, watching Bonanza doesn't really help you.
There have been some
Yeah.
arguments on that.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's test
There's-
cases, but I
yeah.
don't know, it came out.
Yeah. If you look on the, I guess like we're about the fourth page, third page in now, where it says Senate Joint Resolution 6. This is fantastic, you guys, just to know that our legislators are using our time and effort and money to direct the Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction to communicate to school districts information regarding backpack safety. So let me tell you, when I get backpack safety information, I'm gonna bring it to you folks to let you know what we need to know about that. Can you believe that? I thought that just went, yeah.
So you're gonna go ahead and give us a demonstration?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll have a slideshow and you'll be able to take it on
I think an
DVD.
insurance company might have lobbied that one.
That's been in the news. You know,
Just-
Kids
yeah.
carrying hidden backpacks.
Yeah.
So it's been in the news.
on the play equipment. Yeah.
2992 for Paisley. It's allowing the, oh, excuse me, no, that's the wrong one, that's not the Paisley one. That's just meaning that everybody has to go through criminal background checks. Then we also won the child abuse investigations that can happen on school property, which they could happen before, but now the legislature made a law that says that can happen. And then, let's see, right towards the back,
I'll read.
oh, the Senate Bill 13. I have no problem with Senate Bill 13, other than the fact the legislature is telling us what we are going to teach. And, you know, the fact that they're wanting to teach Native American experience in Oregon, that's great, it's great curriculum, I see no problem with doing all that. It's just, I really have an issue when the legislature starts telling us, you have to teach this, you have to teach this, you have to teach this, and they start putting all these things on their plate, on our plate,
Right,
and
when you already have a full plate.
they have no idea how much is on our plate.
Well,
And we have all the Common Core standards that we have to teach, and now they're adding this to it too, and saying, make it happen.
when it came down to the common curriculum goals, et cetera, social studies never could get agreed upon.
Yeah,
And as soon as the Department of Ed tries to write up an American Indian curriculum, we've got, what, 30 different tribes?
yeah.
I would hate to be in charge of that. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
No. Everybody that's ever studied anything about American history will tell you that there are 3 sides to that story, depending on who you speak with and what, you know, what their experience was when they, you know, when whatever it was happened, their experience, you know, is totally different, so,
Yep.
yeah. For Paisley,
Yes.
the last Senate Bill 803, that you'll now be getting state funds for a Navy or foreign exchange student.
Yeah, this one was practically, isn't there one other school that does the
I
same?
think it's Crane.
Crane, yes,
Okay.
Crane does, yeah, yeah.
Just leave us alone, okay?
Yeah.
Does Mitchell still have a door?
Boy, you know what, I don't know.
I mean, they built it
They
when we were
used to,
living there,
and I
yeah.
don't know if
But
they-
I don't remember a bunch of foreigners do.
Yeah.
They got the
Yeah.
bin.
Yeah,
We went there, we did that, that doesn't work very well for
Yeah.
us.
so anyway, so that was the legislative stuff, so Deputy hasn't kicked me yet, so I'm gonna quickly go through this. So, approval tonight is, we gotta show support, and so we'll need an actual motion and approve for Lake County ESD to join, the P20 network. What the P20 network, from my understanding and what I've been able to gather about it, it's the opening of a conversation. There has been some basically infighting amongst ESDs. And it's really trying to bring the ESDs together and become a solid organization as a whole. One of the things that we agreed on at the last meeting, we voted, it was to spend some funds, and it won't come out of our budget, it was already existing funds, was to start with a flyer like this, and I'll pass this around. This one is out of Washington, and basically what this is a flyer explaining what ESDs do, okay? So, and it's this one specifically for legislators, because a lot of legislators have no idea what ESDs do, and then we get beat up in the legislature because they have no idea, so, oh, there's money to cut, and that kind of stuff. So this is the first thing they're going to do. They're gonna create one of these for Oregon. And it's really starting to rally around the ESDs, trying to get them to speak as a unit and not be so, not be divisive and that kind of stuff. So I'm real pleased to hear what they're saying, and they're, Dave Novotny is the chair right now, and he's heading it up. He has just gone through, in the last probably 5 years, a complete makeover of his ESD, of the Willamette ESD, and they are seen and very highly of right now. So I'm very encouraged by him taking the head on this, so.
And maybe we should send that out to component districts too,
What's that?
to the board members, something like that.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely, I mean, once this is created, we can give it to anybody that doesn't know what an ESD does, yeah. The RFP with the wiring of the building, kudos to Sarah for getting that all written up and stuff, and we got the RFP out. We've already had 3 people come view the building, right? Three different companies?
I'm aware, two bid starts also come or no?
Well, what that we had, well, the one group talked about doing it from the outside, and then there was 2 just this week.
They were
Oh,
together.
No, they were 2 different companies.
They were, but they're working together.
They're working
Really?
together. Yeah, Acme's working with
Oh.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh, then, okay, we've had 2. I stand corrected. So anyway, so it was interesting because so far the first company, they were talking about bringing conduits in around the edges of the room and things, and bringing things through the wall in and bringing them down. Where the last guys didn't really seem to bat an eye about going up in the attic and doing it like they did before, so we'll see.
With the asbestos stuff up there and all that.
You can access it, you can go up there, you just have to be suited up and do it right, so. And the one gentleman, when he was talking, he knew all about the enclosure and the vacuum and all that kind of stuff and how to do it, so. So, anyway, we'll see what that's coming up, but the bids they're coming out there. I already mentioned this, but the P20 network, the group, they have applied for that mentoring grant, so we're still waiting to see where that comes out. Next things I've got is, the next thing is we have a board training on September 27th. District 7 is sponsoring it, if anybody wants to go to it. They're gonna have somebody from OSBA come down actually to Lake County and just do a training with board members and that kind of stuff. I guess he's got a couple of new board members, and so it's
September 27th.
September 27th.
Is that our board meeting night?
Yes.
Believe it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's our meeting, right?
Right,
September.
it's their meeting night too, but I think it's starting at, I'm gonna say 5:30. It might be starting early, so.
I sat through, it's Jim Green, is it Jim Green?
I'm not sure who's doing it this time.
Or Steve Kelly. Jim Green is the
He's the
He's the-
chair or.
Yeah,
what?
he was the lobbyist, now he's the executive director.
Executive
He took
director,
it.
yes.
But it was very good information as far as a new board member. I appreciated it, understanding the role, what you do, and I think that's what
You probably
District
understand.
7 is, you
Oh,
know,
At
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
yeah.
the OSBA meetings, they used to go, have a work session, go through that, and I thought it was always helpful, just like, you might have heard it before, oh, yeah, no. And some of the stuff about board members talking when they're not in the meeting is real important.
So there can only be one of us at happy hour.
That's actually true.
Or not at the same table.
Well, we can all go to happy hour, just don't talk about board
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah, you can sit together, just don't talk about anything that has to do with education, so.
Or personnel.
So some new ideas that I've been toying with and bringing into the ESD, and I kind of would like thumbs up from you guys or thumbs down if you think I'm going in the right direction or not going in the right direction. The first one is, it was requested by District 7 that he has 2 brand new special ed teachers, that we provide a mentor for the special ed teachers specifically. And so I got with Sarah and we looked at funding and that kind of stuff. And basically what we come up with was a position that would be 60 hours of mentoring for a $2,000 stipend, and then possibly some mileage in there depending on who we end up hiring and how far they would have to drive. Because we've got 3 candidates. We've got one is a retired teacher, one is working half-time, and then one is working up at North Lake. And so we've got 3 good people. I've interviewed all 3 of them, but I just kind of wanted to get you guys' idea and thoughts about having another mentor specifically for special education. We've actually got 3 because we've got Sammy also that.
Is
that
this being covered, is the money there?
Yes,
Should
yes, yep, yeah, these are, Sarah and I have been working, trying to figure out, we have the additional funds from the legislature, and so we're coming up with ideas, and this is some of our ideas of what to do with these additional funds, and then once we get this hammered down, we'll bring a resolution to you guys with the changes in the budget, so,
I think it's a good deal.
okay?
One time only, right now.
Right now, it's just this, it would just be for this year, and then we'll
See what it goes.
see where it goes from there. If they need additional next year, we can talk about that when we budget, so.
The mentor program's just kind of a 1-year deal for the first year teachers, right, anyway?
Mhm.
That's just.
Usually they go first 2 years.
First 2 years,
Yeah.
okay.
Is a
Yeah.
motion necessary or just?
No, I'm fine, I'm comfortable with just if everybody's comfortable with it, so. The next one is bringing on a threat assessment support person. My experience in the past is when you have a student in a school who makes a statement such as, "I'm going to kill you," and it is no longer, the schools no longer have the ability to say, "Oh, it's just boys being boys, don't worry about it." You have to take it seriously, because it's crazy out there. It can happen, and we don't want that to happen. So Lake County, I spoke to all of the superintendents. Lake County does not have a very well-defined threat assessment type of way of doing things. What's his last name? Darren Drill? No. Oh shoot, I lost his name. Gentleman out of Salem Kaiser School District created a threat assessment system. It's been adopted throughout the state. It's been approved by the ODE. And my idea, or what I want to recreate, is similar to what Willamette or ESD is doing. And they have a part-time person. I'm looking at just like a .2 person. And their job would be to become a threat assessment expert. And then when there's a kid that there's an issue with, they would be able to go to that district and assist in doing a threat assessment to determine, is this child truly a threat, or were they just boys being boys or girls being girls kind of thing. And it creates a formal process, and that way it's a team of people making this decision, and it's not one individual making the decision. And it's very helpful. I've used it for years and years and years. I was amazed when we didn't have anything like this. And I asked all the superintendents, and they all kind of have different ways of doing things, which is dangerous. And because if something ever was to bad happen, you don't know what, you don't want to be the one left hanging with the rope. So my experience in the past is this person would be a retired police officer, state, county, sheriff, something of that nature, so they have some understanding of the laws. And then they would be able to, being retired, they would be able to go out and on a spur of the moment kind of a thing to be able to help out a school district. The threat assessment is in 2 levels. You have a level 1 threat assessment, which basically is trying to make a determination of, is this credible? And you go through the process and you're like, no, he was just spouting off, it's not a big issue, I don't see anything credible here, he doesn't have a list or anything else. So that's a level 1. Level 2 is you go through the level 1 and you're like, they've got access to guns, the kid's got a list, and he's been really wearing camo a lot in the last 6 months, and kind of being a loner. We need to look at this a little bit deeper. And so after the level 1 assessment, you refer it to a level 2. Level 2, then they bring in your county mental health, you bring in police, you bring in whatever other services you can, school psychologists, and things like that to make those determinations. And try to do a mental health assessment of this child and see where it's at, and go from there.
What kind of support were you getting from the other superintendents?
They loved it.
They like it?
Yes, they loved it because they're scared like everybody else. They don't want this on their lap where they're the ones that left hanging.
Jack, it's been a few years, but we had an incident, actually it was at Paisley School, where an Adel student brought a gun to school, and evidently he had made some remarks previously. The psychologist from ESD did a risk assessment. There is evidently a risk assessment test.
Right, there is.
And decided that this kid was a blowhard,
Right.
He wasn't really apt to do anything. But the ESD did play a real good role in that, and they got a site there immediately.
Yes.
And
where this is beneficial is that for the very low level things, you're not tying up your school psychologist. Because right now, that's their only avenue. And that's taken a ton of our school psychologists' time. And then that same avenue would be at a level 2 threat assessment. So we've gone through the level 1, yes, we think maybe something going on here, we go to level 2, and that's when the school psychologist gets involved. So usually, my experience, the level 1s, typically it's a classroom teacher that knows the kid, it's a school counselor if you have a counselor, it's your principal in the building, and if you happen to have a liaison officer, I've had that in the past, so that person sat in occasionally. But that's the small team that makes a level 1 threat assessment determination. And then from there, then you go on to level 2. This point 2 person would, again, become our expert. It would be a matter of I've already talked to Willamette ESD. They have no problem with allowing us to copy and steal all of their paperwork, and we can get training from them to train our person, who will then train our administrators on how to use this threat assessment.
So
Your
you said you had this previously. Was it provided by the ESD, or was it something you did?
Yep, it was provided by Willamette ESD.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a full-time person on board. Yeah, because there's a
Would we
lot.
then provide a .2 person?
What's that?
Would we, the ESD,
Correct.
provide a .2?
We would be the point, we would provide or employ the point 2 person, yes.
Point 2 would be plenty of.
I think so,
That's what I was wondering.
yeah. I think so. It's not, listening to the history from the ES, or from the other superintendents, it doesn't seem like it's a huge, it happens a lot.
Can it be afforded? Do we have a?
Yes,
to take
and
them
again, these are all things I'm suggesting, these are all, Sarah and I have budgeted out, and we would, again, we'll bring resolution to you guys and stuff, but before I put hard numbers to things, I wanna make sure that we're going down the right path.
Yeah, well, if this is on an as-needed basis and you funded for .2, it might well be that you actually, if it was on an hourly basis, you might end up paying .05. I don't,
Yeah,
unless you
those-
salary 'em.
There's always gonna be trainings that'll be happening, and of course, this first year, there'll be, it's gonna be on a trial thing.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
I'm guessing at this point. I think it's an educated guess, but I'm guessing. But there'll be some upfront work, getting the paperwork ready, getting the trainings done, those kinds of things, and then training the other staff and things, so,
I think it's a terrific,
you know.
especially given
Yes.
social media. I think
Yes.
school
Okay.
districts have a heck of a time.
Coordinate with local law enforcement.
So I said, I wanna hire somebody who's a retired law person, and law enforcement typically comes in at a level 2 threat assessment. And so that would be a conversation that, as this progresses and we get all the details figured out, we would have that conversation with local law enforcement and get them on board of being part of the level 2
But we
threat
haven't done
assessment.
that yet, we're gonna see.
Haven't done that yet, I'm in initial steps, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm going down roads you guys want me to go down, so.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
That's a great idea,
Okay.
yes,
Good.
yes.
The next one is Ethos Music Program. Ethos is an organization out of Portland, it's a nonprofit. They get grants from AmeriCorps, and their whole purpose in life is to provide music to rural districts. And I have used them for the last 4 or 5 years. The last 3 years, I've had a full-time music person in my district for $8,000. So, yeah, which is about a $50,000 bill, and I get it for $8,000. And so,
Sign me up.
yeah, so they, these are music people, they're not music teachers. And so the last lady I had, she had a master's degree in percussion, but she wasn't a licensed teacher. And she came in and she taught our kids how to play guitar, and she taught them all kinds of things. It was fantastic. She was there for 3 years. But what my thought is right now is that, just to start out this first year, we would hire one full-time person. So 2 parts of this is we would hire them, and then we gotta figure out, we gotta talk to some realtors around, see if we can find a place for them to rent. But we don't pay for the rent. Again, it's $8,000, that's it. We write one check, we're done. We don't pay anything more. We get the person 40 hours a week, they're here the entire week, they live here in town. They provide them an apartment or a house, whichever they need to have. And my thought was they would spend a half a day in Adel, half a day in Plush, and then they would spend a day in Paisley, and then they would spend a day in each one of the elementary schools here in District 7. I talked to David Kerr up at Northlake. His need is bigger, and he wants to be on board, and he wants to get one for his district for $8,000. And he's on board, says, I'll pay the $8,000 if you give me a full-time person. He goes, I'm all over it. So he's on board with that, so. So anyway, I just noticed that we've got some good stuff. I mean, like Adele, they've got some music stuff going on there and things. But it's different. It's a different support type of a thing. They can help with the Christmas programs, all those different kinds of things.
Do they have to
So
be there with a licensed teacher,
They
though?
do. They have to be with a
have
licensed teacher, which, at the elementary schools,
That's easy.
it's easy, and which is kind of where we're at right now. It's a little bit more challenging, but there are workarounds at the high school level, and I've done that, and I've already talked to David about giving him some advice on how to make that work at the high school level,
Perfect.
where the kids can get elective credit.
So we just did the budget and it was spent out.
Yeah,
And we were talking about where we had to,
some commentary
stuff,
on the
so-
budget is that we budgeted at a $7.8 billion funding level, and they passed an $8.2 billion funding level.
that's right, yeah.
And I believe, was that an extra 28,000 for us, or was that an extra 50? It might have been an extra, but it was a significant amount of money. The other thing that happened last year is that in June, I claimed some of our E-rate funds, which turned out to be substantially more than I realized. So we underspent our 90% last year by, I wanna say, maybe $45,000. So there are some things that Jack's gonna present that are one-time expenses that will take care of that. We have to make up that $45,000 to the districts, you know. But the ongoing expenses come primarily out of the increased state funding.
Does,
That's what I thought, but I
does the
wasn't clear.
program
Oh,
pay
yeah.
for mileage?
No, having them drive to those districts would be additional fund. We
Okay.
budgeted that in. Yeah, we've.
Use our
Yeah.
car or whatever.
Yeah,
So we've got the money and basically we gotta spend that money.
We have to spend
we have to
money.
spend it. I love this job. I've never, Sarah's twisting my arm, Jack, we gotta, you know, yeah, and so,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thinking about like that, the teacher, does that mean, are we gonna have enough cars, or we already pay
Yeah,
a lot of
it's car
mileage out, don't we? I mean, if this ended up a big deal, are we gonna be looking at buying another car to have something around?
I added in 180 miles per week for, I think, 37 weeks out of the year.
Right.
If we did have to pay this person straight mileage,
Mhm.
it would be a bit.
Could they travel with our existing employees when they go up?
We thought about that also, but
Right.
because of the amount of time our existing employees go for, I think, shorter amounts of time than what the other person would like.
I was just thinking they're gonna wear a car out in a year,
Right, yeah.
if they're traveling half day, you know.
well, they would just be, they would
Yeah.
go, they'd be a day at Dillon or a Plush, and then a day at Paisley.
Right.
And
So I
then the
guess
rest
it
of,
wouldn't be
the rest of the
terrible.
time they'd be here, so.
I think anytime we get music back in the classroom.
I think it's a great deal.
Yeah.
Well, that's been my feeling, I've always supported the arts, and this is, I love this organization, they're fantastic.
Good
So
call.
I did bring that money, I don't know if you wanted to quote that, or what they're.
Oh, yeah, the additional funding gave us $58,000 more. We underspent our 90% by almost $44,000, but we're gonna have a $15,000 May correction, so that scales it back to where we have about $87,000 that we need to spend this year. And it's nice to know that on the front end.
That doesn't happen that often, yeah.
Oh, that's great, that's good. So I think we're all for that?
Okay.
Good.
All right, then another thing is, it's a company called Kajit, Kajeet, and Kajit is an organization or a company that provides internet access to kids via the phone lines. And so what it is we would buy 15 of these boxes, and the box is basically a cell phone box. And so if you are at your house and you have cell service, but you don't have internet service, you'd be able to go to the library, you could check out this box, check out a Chromebook that the school already has, and you would be able to take that home, and you'd get internet access at home to be able to do your homework. So it's filtered, and that's the main reason that I would go through this company, is it's filtered. So we can buy 15 of these things, and my thought was to go with one of them at Adel. Let's see where I have, did I write that down? I did. Oh yeah, I did. I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't write the numbers down. I think I said seven in District 7, 4 in North Lake, 3 in Paisley, and then 1 in Adel. And Plush, I wasn't gonna give Plush
They don't
one
have cell
because,
service.
well, they don't have self-service, and the chances of a first grader taking a laptop home and having to do homework at home, I
Yeah.
don't think they do that, so. But anyway, we've got them divvied up as far as getting them out to the school districts. The superintendents they're like, I've never heard of such a thing, this is fantastic, because we have a lot of kids that don't have cell service, don't have internet service, can't afford it.
Yep.
And this would allow them to check it out and get internet access via the cell lines. And it's really, for 15 things, it comes out to only $4,700 for the year. And that gives us 500 megabytes on each unit, 500 megabytes per day. So, which,
That
you're not gonna be able to stream a video,
But you'd be able
But-
to,
Do everything
still a
else.
lot for the
you'd be
day.
able to, yeah,
And
hit
that
the-
includes the subscription service and everything.
everything, that's everything. For
Each
15 of
school
them,
would have it right there, and you just go to the school
they would just,
library or whatever.
yeah, we'd give them to the schools, they would give them to, I'm assuming however they check out things through the library or however they do it. I'd let them handle that, and they would be able to. We can also, they're very regulated, and so we can get online and look at what's being looked at. And we can see where they're at. So if for some reason one disappears, we can quickly say, oh yeah, well, it's at your house.
Yeah.
You know, check your dog's, you know, the dog house, because it may be in there, but, so we can see where they're at, that kind of stuff, so.
GPS, but no camera.
No camera, no nothing, they're just a black box is all they are, just an on, off, just basically an on, off button.
Right.
But it's filtered, YouTube is blocked, so they cannot stream YouTube, that's automatically blocked on all of them, so.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, well, that one,
Thank you.
I do too, I like it too, I like just crazy stuff on there. So that's another direction I'd like to go,
Are we good with that?
so,
Very good?
okay?
Yeah.
And then for again, a one-time cost of that, of the monies we didn't spend, we need to spend from last year, talked to the districts, the superintendents, and they would like some additional technology. So we talked about getting each district a computer cart that would hold 30 Chromebook computers. And so they'd get 30 Chromebooks and the cart to each one of the districts. Adel would get a cart with, I think, probably 6 or, I don't know how many kids they have this year, but 6 or 8 they have. And then Plush would also get one, but I think they have 5, I think is the biggest group of kids. I think at the preschool they have 5, and so far getting 5. But they still have the cart, so we can always add more, you know, buy some more as you get more kids, we can get more for them. But that's a one-time cost, that's spending those dollars from last year that we were supposed to have spent.
Can they do
So-
testing on those?
Yep.
So that's basically
It's
a
a-
whole new computer lab.
It's a computer, it's a mobile computer lab, 30 computers, you just wheel it into a classroom and every kid gets a
Have
computer.
you been around the Chromebook? Yeah. Oh, and you gotta have they basically work off the internet. And so you got your apps, but then you have to have internet service, and yeah, they're actually pretty neat. When I left the last school board, they even had them, gave them to the board members, and you could point and click and go through the agenda, and you're going, whoa. And we were all lost.
Yeah.
And they made me learn it on the last meeting, but yeah, there's neat what you could do with them.
Yeah, they're basically a dummy computer.
Yeah, they have nothing.
They have no
memory.
programs on them, you cannot store anything on them. But what you do is you go through Google, if any of you are using Google Docs.
Word
and
processor.
which has a word processor, has Excel, but not Excel, but they call it Pages, or numbers, they call it numbers. And you can do what you want to do like you normally would on any other computer, and it's all saved onto Google. And so there's no memory or anything like that that's taken up
Yeah.
within the local
Basically a
unit.
personal account, like your email.
Right,
and
your
it
personal
all
email
goes-
account.
And then it's
Yeah.
all kept. And I think you can even, there's some troubles, but you can even take it home, your own
Yep,
computer
no,
at
you
home
can.
and log into it. But
Yep.
my kid had some issues with it.
No, there shouldn't be any issues. If you,
But I think he had a Macintosh, and for some reason,
matter.
something wasn't working for
Yeah.
him, so.
yeah, we can get that figured out, but it doesn't matter. So with Google, you know, you can get on Google at any place, anywhere on your
Right.
phone.
And they're dirt cheap.
Yeah,
They're like a couple $100
A couple
compared to
$100.
buying $1,000 computer and then
Yep.
buying the licensing and
Right.
software Google has.
yeah,
Right.
it all for a
Everything.
couple $100. So,
I just know the testing isn't, everybody's always backed up, we don't
Yeah.
have enough computers.
yeah,
So-
and this would be
That'd be perfect.
an opportunity to have 30 more.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we started with them at school last year, or the year before, and it was just, whoa. You wish, when we were buying laptops 5 years before that, you wish they had Google, you know.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
things for half the cost and do twice as much.
Yep.
Right, yep.
So Sarah, how much have we spent so far?
Off of this list,
Mm-hmm.
we're still within.
Okay, that's it.
It's like
You're welcome to look at
Walmart.
that.
All right, thank you.
Probably cents and 98 cents.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that's all my new expenses and my new ideas and those kinds of things right now. I have attended, as I said, I've attended Flush, Adel, North Lake, and Paisley board meetings this month. Some were short time, but I did go. Our staff in-service schedule and stuff, Debbie did a great job of getting that organized, and that's ready for coming up on the Monday. Wow, is it Monday already?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, okay, for Monday. And then lastly, just got this in the email today that it is confirmed that the kicker is kicking in, and the average person will get about $227 in their kickback, but they're not sending out checks. You're gonna get it when you do your tax returns or whatever, and you'll get either more of a tax return or you'll get, reduced tax burden
Next year?
if you, when you do your taxes in 2018.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so, but that's for an average, the average is, they figured is $59,000 a year. So if you paid $59,000 a year, you'll get probably $227. If you're above that or below that, you can calculate it. And if you make, what did I say it was, $389,000 a year or more, you'll get about $5,000 back.
And that's adjusted gross income
Mhm.
or after?
Yeah, that's whatever you paid in taxes and stuff, so.
What you think? Spend out.
So, yeah, that's what I know. And I've had a great first month, and
Good.
thank you again for hiring me.
So, if you do go do a Lakeview meeting, is there a way we could, if we knew in advance, we could just schedule our meeting a little earlier?
They have 2 a month though, right?
Right, they have
They
2
have
a month.
second.
Oh, they have 2 a month? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, it'd be kind of it's a long drive to come up here without the superintendent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I would do it on our off day,
And I don't know
I
if
think.
you've looked at Dale a lot, but he's not the prettiest guy to run the meeting.
Yeah, he's doing good though tonight.
Gets
We
us
try
on
to do it
time.
once a month.
So, I'm done for
You're
Debbie
done.
Kicker, so, cut me off.
Good.
I have one quick question on the P,
P20,
yes.
okay?
So is that, is it 100% buy-in by all ESDs or?
No, there are 2 ESDs, it's the one in John Day, and there's one up in Wallowa County, I believe, are 2 ESDs that are defecting, and I guess they've been defecting for years and years, and
Yeah.
they're
Mhm.
part of the whole turmoil that's been going on, so, yeah. Yeah. And Bob, it's in your packet, but Bob gave this to you, I think a couple months ago, he went over this
Yeah.
with you guys a couple months ago, so.
I just know that's the one thing we're gonna vote on tonight.
And if you want to see that grant that all the ESDs applied for, that mentoring grant, that's it, if you're interested in looking at it, so.
Well, that's only 20 pages.
I think it's 26, yeah, but you're good, yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah, you can't sleep.
Okay, let's go to information discussion items. AESD Governance Council Representative. So we have to ask the Board of Selectmen Board Representative to participate in Governance Council meetings. The meetings are conducted through a video conferencing and occur 4 times a year, 7th of September, November 9th, February 1st, and April the 5th. Who would like to step up?
I've done it the last couple of years, and he's covered me when I couldn't do it,
Well,
so.
then he's, John?
Yeah, you'll do it again? Thank you. That was really good of you.
Thank you, John.
I was doing it more than I
Sundays,
did, 'cause
yeah.
I was
I
out.
looked at the schedule, I don't mind doing it, but
Yeah.
that one that they're gonna have in Portland, I'm not gonna.
Aren't these video?
These are the ones video that
These are
you're in
video
there,
ones.
and you,
Videos,
yeah,
yeah.
and you watch those. And if
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
be out of town, let me know and I'll cover you. Since you-
Okay.
Very good. All right.
John, you're a good man.
Thank you very much.
It's actually kinda interesting. It's exactly the same as it was back about
I
1990.
know, but you sit through one, you sit through the other, and you gotta try.
Things
Can't
have
wait.
not
Have we
changed.
been here before?
Yes.
I'm on my 3rd round, John. I'm going into my 30th year, that's been 3 times, it's all the same stuff.
Yep,
Repackage it, rename it.
Next is OAESD P20 Support Network Agreements.
So that, we actually need a motion and to approve that.
And that will be action item.
Yep. I believe it's in action, is it? Yeah.
And then the Fall Regional Meeting, Tuesday, October 24th, 2017. And I assume that's at Paisley, correct?
Yep.
So we need to let Debbie or Sarah or Debbie know.
And we're being catered this year by the Saloon, the Pioneer Saloon is going to cater. But so he wants a head count a little bit earlier than typical, so by the 1st of October.
That's gonna be
first
the
week is-
community center.
At the community
Why don't they
center,
just have it this week?
Well, have it,
close the bar.
Just, we can close the bar.
Community center's not on
Debbie,
school
can
property,
you
so.
email us? Because I don't
Oh,
know what
yes.
they put in her,
Yes,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
By when they-
well, it's October and we'll begin
Right.
and
We'll talk again about it in September,
Okay.
so we'll
Yeah.
remind you again.
Just,
And they sent out this little agenda, so I handed those out tonight, so.
And the food at the Saloon is very good, it's a nice job.
good pizza.
Yeah.
Nice.
OSBA Annual Convention, November 9th to 12th, room reservations, et cetera, et cetera. Anybody who's interested, I assume again, get a hold of Debbie. Or Sarah.
Yes.
Typically, does anybody go in the past? Does anybody?
No, I've never gone to the fall.
I thought you
I-
went
You
there.
haven't gone to
I've been in
I always
the
go to the
past.
spring.
A long time ago. It's good to go,
It's good to go.
just trying to get away is hard.
Yeah, so I don't know,
If you do want to go, though, we really need, on September 11th is when those rooms open.
yeah,
If we don't make the
Yeah.
reservations that
We
day,
don't-
we won't get a
or
room.
even that, with by 8 o'clock.
But they have wine tasting at the other.
Nah,
across the
he's
street.
been.
There you go.
Keep mentioning that, like it's-
Yeah, so you why stay at that one when you can drink free wine?
OSBA.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
And
is
you went
all
to the
school
ESD
board.
ESD
Meeting.
one. Yeah, yes.
Jim, you
Spring
know?
one, yeah,
Yeah.
spring one is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Upset
It's
the-
the head.
upset the fall one, not so much, but the spring one is really good.
I plan on going to this one up in Portland, so, I mean,
Okay.
if anybody thinking they wanna go?
I have no idea at this point. That's too far
I know a
out.
good, sushi restaurant up there.
I don't like driving around the big
Huh.
city.
Okay, and fall kickoff barbecue, Mike Benson's home, Monday, August 28th at 5:30. And I assume you'll need a head count on that?
No,
No? Okay.
no, just, we'd love to have you guys come.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, action
Those 3
items.
days.
I'm 5 minutes off, I should be,
I would fire you if it wasn't the first meeting.
please.
We would have somebody else have to do it.
Approve the OASD P20 agreement. Do I have a
I
motion?
motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
We're good.
Okay, everybody okay with that? We're all
Aye.
good?
I.
Okay. With that, with no related items or anything like that, I will adjourn the meeting. Nice job. Thank you, sir.